Grayson gets grouchy when he hasn't eaten. Here's your look at the brand new McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse, DC vs. Vampires, Gold Label Collection, Nightwing. Vampires are hunting on the streets of Gotham City as the coming undead plague make their first move. Batman's investigation into the disappearance of Andrew Bennett takes him into the sewer beneath the Hall of Justice, where he makes a stunning discovery. Just before the former boy wonder goes out for a bite to eat. Let's grab the tape measure and see how tall the brand new DC vs. Vampires Gold Label Collection Nightwing stands. I would also like to thank the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide, yes, the sample we could also have a look at. Nightwing is about 7 inches in height, or the figure is going to be about 18 centimeters tall. If the figure does look familiar to you, it's because they actually pulled the body from the original DC Multiverse Nightwing to accomplish this look. They have taken the lighter colors and darkened them in blue, and they've also retooled a brand new head sculpt. Some other DC vs. Vampires figures we've also had a look at. Here's what he also looks like with the Clown Prince of Crime Joker, and here's also what he looks like with the Man of Steel Superman. Nightwing comes with Nightwing things, except for one accessory we're going to talk more about in a moment. First, the figure comes included with a trading card. A little disappointed that the fact that they didn't actually use a source material image this time around of actually giving us a vampired version of Nightwing. Instead, it's just a traditional character. On the back, though, it does give us a read-up, but at least the read-up is more in line with the actual story, not just Nightwing alone. The trading card is going to go nicely in with the rest of my trading cards and my trading card sheet. The figure as well comes included with a display stand. The display stand again has the DC logo branded down below, and off to the side there's also the cornering peg that can plug into either one of Nightwing's boots. Still, what's familiar is the fact the figure comes included with his 2 Eskrima sticks. These can either be wielded in his hand or can also be housed on the back of the figure, as he does also have hanging hooks. You just clip these in place. The figure, while his back is not necessarily turned, let's turn him back around. He also comes included with a gripping hand. Because he has one hand already for holding an Eskrima stick, the other hand, literally on the other hand, doesn't actually give you the means. So you just want to pop that out and replace it with this one so you can actually store the Eskrima sticks on either side. You can take the figure as he is right now, and like I said, you can store one Eskrima stick in one of his hands, but with the other hand as wide as it is, you can't actually store it. So you will want to just pop that one off from the forearm and replace it with this one instead. Not going to do that, though, because the one other accessory the figure comes included with is too cool to put back in a bag. One quickly thing I did want to show you guys is on the back there's the storage hooks. You just take the Eskrima sticks, both of them at least, and you just clip the inside. Now these are pretty soft in plastic, so you don't have to worry as much that they're going to break. And you just take the Eskrima sticks. You want to have them facing the handle side up, okay. Just flip these around. They'll just plug in place, and there's at least a place to store them if you don't want to display them in his hands. As mentioned, though, he does have one larger hand that actually accommodates then a human heart. I don't know whose heart this actually does belong to, but a really nice little accessory to say the least. It's pretty hard in plastic. I was kind of expecting this to be squishy, and it's painted very nicely in a dark crimson red. This can easily be stored in his hands. You just clip this in between his fingers and his thumb, and this would always be the time, I don't want to jinx myself, that I would drop something onto the floor. Not going to do it this time around. There you go. You actually can store it in his hands. Going to do that when it comes to displaying this guy on the shelf. Just put that off to the side because I know I'm going to drop it. Closer inspections on his face reveal quite a horrifying Nightwing. Just to basically see where we left off. Just bring in the original Nightwing so you guys can see the difference between the two. We did also get ourselves a Nightwing that was part of the Teen Titans wave. That was the Beast Boy Build-A-Figure wave. We've already covered those in the other earlier reviews if you guys want to check those out. But this is the original Nightwing. It has still the storage on the back for the Eskrima sticks, so nothing does change between the two figures. Color-wise, even though the bodies are exactly the same, the newer Nightwing does have a more darker approach to the black, and the blue is much darker as well. The crest that he has on the front of his chest, not to mention as well, down below here, the striping on his boots, are all much notably darker than the lighter blue that we would get on the original release. Still the exact same bodies, other than just a brand new head sculpt. Really like the look of this one, and in fact, actually, honestly, all the DC vampire figures have been really good. Superman was a bit of a stumbler because I think he looked a little like Jerry Lewis. But all the rest of the head sculpts have been really good on these ones. This one being probably one of my favorites up there with, I think, Joker. I love the way they've done the bloodshot eyes. Big fangs on the tops and bottom of his teeth. And he's got some really nice, very generous amounts of blood all draped around the tops and bottoms of his lips. It's a really horrifying, yet very cool looking head sculpt for Nightwing. The blood also has found its way onto his shirt. Oh, you're never going to be able to get all that blood off. Alfred's going to have to work overtime, unless Alfred's already been dinner. I don't know. Maybe he has. A little bit of blood has also found its way, like I said, on his shirt. I love the way they've actually done this a little bit more shinier, so the blood looks wet. The rest of his body remains pretty clean when it comes to overall just like the blood saturation. There doesn't seem to be any blood splattering anywhere else on the rest of his suit. I would have liked if they could have just taken, even at the very least, just a paintbrush and flipped some sections of his suit just to a little bit of blood, because I just feel like it can't just settle there. Even if it's dripping from his mouth. I mean, I bled. I mean, obviously, I wasn't going around sucking people's necks, but even when I've cut myself, it never seems to just be on one place. I usually have like little droplets all over his suit. I just wish that there was a little bit more than just what they've allowed right here. The rest of the coloring of his suit, again, like it's just all the big basic black plastic. The blue that we do get, at least here, is nicely painted on the sides of the shoulders, on the back that store the excrement sticks. And again, he also has it here. I really didn't talk too much about it. He also has it here on his knuckles there as well. Nicely painted overall. I mean, it's really kind of hard to ruin paint when there's only a few little areas on the figure that actually do have it. But again, the paint that we actually do again on the figure is pretty good. Nice sculpting on the bottoms of his boots, exactly the same as the original one. Still has the peg holes in the undersides of his feet. It's a really nice, lean body of Nightwing, and it works really well for the character, whether he's a vampire or not. Now, for the figure's articulation, it's going to be exactly the same as the original Nightwing. The head's going to rotate all the way around. Normally, this is the time where you'd kill a person if you were to rotate his head all the way around, but you don't have to worry as much because they're going to be a vampire. As a side note, I just want to stop myself to say that I really like the way they've sculpted the hair. It sort of flows off to the side. Really well combed. I really don't know. Would a vampire still take the time to comb his hair? It just seems like it's pretty clean of a hairstyle for someone's going around sucking people's necks. Anyways, head looks up about that high. It can look down that low. You can also move it back and forth as well. Arms easily come out beyond the point of 90 degrees. You can actually do almost jumping jacks with this character. You can take the arms and rotate them all the way around. All the way around. So a swivel there also on the bicep. The figure does also have a double hinge on the elbow, just although sometimes doing that you may knock an excrement stick out of the back of his body. Hands rotate also all the way around as well. Now for his torso, even though this is really just using the original Nightwing body, there's something maybe about the plastic that they've used. It seems like it's maybe a little bit thicker. I don't know, this just seemed like it was a little bit more softer on the top of his torso. It definitely seems a lot harder here on this figure. So because of that, it looks a little bit more consistent. It doesn't have kind of that little flap that started to develop on the earlier figures where like this part, again, because they were using the torso articulation as it was. But I don't know, it just looks like the bodies look a little cleaner. Upper torso is going to be on a ball joint. The lower torso, again, is on a ball joint. And even though this trunk, the lower trunks are softer plastic, it doesn't have the, quote, figure diaper that sometimes plagues some of these figures. It's a pretty, again, nice, consistent form for the rest of the torso above it. Legs split out. They're a little on the tighter side, but again, I'd rather tighter joints than looser joints. You can take those legs and move forward. You can move them back. There's a swivel certainly at the top of the thigh. The figure does also have a double hinge on the knee, although it's really tight in this figure, but again, that's not a bad thing at all. Ankle pivot back and forth, ankle rocker this way, and again, you've got yourself your toe articulation. It's a gold label collection figure, so of course, usually the territory that they cover is figures that already have existing molds. So again, a good opportunity to dust off, if I just get this guy to stand. Good opportunity to then dust off the original Nightwing, which again, this was the first Nightwing. We also got ourselves a secondary release Nightwing that was part of the Teen Titans Build-A-Figure Beast Boy wave. But again, nice use of a remold. The head sculpt is again completely different. The accessories are a little bit different. Obviously, big difference when it comes to the fact that he also comes included with a human heart. Not sure whose human heart this belongs to. Yeah, nice looking Nightwing. Not going to be displayed though on the rest of the shelf with the rest of the Teen Titans. Unless maybe he's feasting on the Teen Titans. No, rather instead I'm going to have this guy displayed on the shelf with the rest of my DC versus Vampires figures, which I think up to this point we have four? Because we have Batman. I didn't bring actually Batman in for this review. We have Joker, we have Superman, and now we have Nightwing. I think we only have 4. We might even have more than that. But a nice looking set of DC Multiverse, DC versus Vampires figures. Nightwing's going to be a nice addition to my existing collection. Dusting off molds and finding ways to re-release those figures. Every figure company in the market is guilty of doing it. McFarlane for a while has kind of done that for their gold label collection figures. So like if, for example, you have a retail release of Red Hood, the gold label version of that would basically be the Red Hood body just with an unmasked head sculpt. Not always successful. Though, to the credit of the team now, the stuff that we're getting now with the Gold Label collection is a little bit more now creative. It's usually a lot of times taking existing molds and finding maybe more classic colors. So like, for example, you may have had a Hawkman. They have released a Hawkman in Superpowers colors. Still want to get my hands on that one. I mean, if you look at Nightwing, for example, this Nightwing was released years ago, and yet with the chance now of being putting under the DC versus Vampires banner, giving him now a human heart, giving him now a retooled ghoulish head, and darkening the colors of the plastic. Not only you get the chance for that mold to shine again, but you get a really interesting figure that's going to go on the shelf. Granted, the DC versus Vampires is going to be a line that's not going to appeal to all collectors, but if you're a big horror fan like myself, this may be right up your alley. Big thank you once again to the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide the sample of the Gold Label collection, DC versus Vampires Nightwing, that we could have a look at in this review. What do you guys think of the figure? Let me know down below in the comments section. And if you have been collecting the DC versus Vampires, what other character would you like to see McFarlane's team tackle next? If you guys in the meantime did enjoy this video, I want to throw it a like. If of course you guys did want to stick around for more and you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button down below, and just right next to that, I don't think there's any vampires nearby, don't worry. Right next to that is, of course, the bell notification. Turning that on will ensure that at least you're going to get the reminders every single time new content posts. And just as well to tell you, posting content on a regular basis happens here frequently. Monday to Friday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. every single day. There's usually a total of 10 videos. So there may be a time for, if you are a new time subscriber here to this channel, you may have to play a little bit of catch up. We are going to be looking at some more DC Multiverse reviews, though, FYI 411. So make sure you're coming back here on a regular basis. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.